Here's a segment from this month's edition of St. Charles Parish Today, a new monthly local talk show. Every June, the news media and government officials remind us that it's time to get prepared for the big one. And even though the season doesn't usually become active until well into August, being prepared for a hurricane at any given time also ensures you're prepared for any number of disasters that could occur here in St. Charles Parish, from chemical accidents to severe thunderstorms. Today, we have St. Charles Parish Emergency Preparedness Director Scott Welchel with us to talk about this upcoming storm season, the risks to parish residents, and how you can remain connected to home if an evacuation is called. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Scott.
Thank you.
So first I want to start with the potential for storm damage in the parish. It pretty much varies depending on where you are in the parish. Can you talk about a little bit about how the EOC predicts things like storm surge during storms?
Sure. Yeah, we've spent a considerable amount of time building long-standing relationships with key agencies like the National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service, the Army Corps of Engineers, and so on, to understand the hazards and understand what we've done to mitigate them, such as the Hurricane Protection Levy on the East Bank and the planned levy on the West Bank of the parish. Ultimately, we also look at history. We deal with a lot of rain events throughout the year, especially in the springtime, and we've come up with a system where we utilize each and every parish employee possible. For example, planning and zoning will go out and help to spot trouble areas for drainage. Parks and Rec individuals go out and help clean up those areas, freeing up Public Works personnel to take care of the pumps and get the water where it needs to go. So we have long-standing history of problem areas, places that we look to mitigate those hazards. Ultimately, we will look to things which are the best science available, like a slosh model, which would be put out by the National Hurricane Center in preparation for a storm. And those slosh models would tell us where our storm surge threat would be, and then we'd take the appropriate action and potentially call for evacuations and so on.
Right, and I think in some things that I've heard earlier, just because the slosh model states that maybe storm surge is not going to be as bad in a certain part of the parish doesn't necessarily mean that you won't call an evacuation for that part of the parish. Yeah,
that's right. And one of the hazards that I see is that given the people on the East Bank having a hurricane protection levy, it may lull you into a false sense of 100% security, and that just is not the case. There are plenty of scenarios that would dictate an evacuation of the entire parish, and those slosh models do not have the ability to say with 100% certainty exactly where the water would be given the scenario. It's going to give you a series of scenarios based on the storm track, its intensity. One of the things the National Hurricane Center will tell you is that although they've had tremendous improvements in storm track prediction, so where the storm will make landfall, they've had almost zero progress in improving the intensity forecasting for storms in the last 50 years. So that's why we always plan for one category threat higher than what is projected to make landfall.
Right, makes a lot of sense. So what is the most important thing that residents can do to ensure that they can bounce back from storms quickly and recover?
Well, the very first thing, the number one priority for people for being resilient and having a recovery post-storm disaster is to get flood insurance. There's only one place to do that, and that's the National Flood Insurance Program. Call your insurance agent that you have homeowners insurance with. They likely do provide that. It is 100% necessary if you live in South Louisiana, and is the only way that you can ensure that you will be able to move on to try and get your life back together if we do suffer a devastation from hurricane threats here. They can also prepare their home, and there are ways for you to prepare your home for a hurricane and other severe weather threats, and that's being more informed, and get yourself an emergency kit, and there are ways for you to go about getting that information.
Okay, and where can people find that if they're looking to put together a little kit for themselves and their families?
There's a couple of places I would encourage people to go. First off, our own parish website here. Our parish website under the emergency preparedness link has a lot of information on it that is tailored to the local environment here. Ultimately, the best place that I would advocate people to go is getagameplan.org. That is the state's website that is updated consistently and is extremely comprehensive for checklists, emergency kit procedures that everyone should have. It has a tab for businesses. So establishing a business plan for storm season is an option there at that website. A family plan, and just general information about all of the different events that happen before a storm and after a storm. It's all included on that one website, and it's a tremendous resource for people.
Okay, great. So here's a very important question. If we do happen to call an evacuation, how can people stay in touch with the parish, no matter where they might be? Yeah,
this is important in an area that we focused on for a number of years now. One new thing, it's relatively new, is a parish information hotline. It's a toll-free number that I encourage people to program in their phones and share with their relatives, particularly their relatives potentially that they might be going to shelter with. And it's 1-888-SCP-9-EOC, which is 727-9362. This information line will be updated consistently, given any emergency scenario, not just storms, so that if you hear the outdoor warning sirens go off, if you get an emergency alert, if you hear about something happening in St. Charles Parish on the news and you want more information, you can call that toll-free number anytime and get more information. Obviously, we'll use that 888 number to post updates post-storm, so we can give updates on utilities, where water might be unavailable, where utilities, electricity and the like might be down, and what our status is as a parish to bring people back. Another thing is our website. Our IT department and your department has worked hard with us to try and ensure that we have every availability to provide a website, even if we're having problems here in St. Charles Parish. The Facebook page that your office maintains is a tremendous resource. I know I've run into a lot of people who tell me that they either via Twitter or Facebook, they've gotten a lot of good information. And also, they've shared information about what they're seeing via those social media means. That's been a good resource, as you know.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely helps to have eyes out on the ground to see what's going on.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's been a good benefit for us.
All right. Well, anything you'd like to add about hurricane season or emergencies in general from your perspective?
Really, I just want to underscore the fact that it's up to each individual and their family to be prepared. We take every step that we can to ensure that we can help those who can't help themselves. We have a means by which to allow people with special needs, medical needs, to register with the parish. If they need to register, they can call 985-783-5050 24 hours a day. But as was stated before by our EMS director, Ken Russo, there's only so much the state or even the parish can do to help those that can't help themselves. So we encourage everybody to be able to put their own plan together, get a game plan, and take care of themselves, and we will do everything we can to return the parish back to normal as quickly as possible. Another thing I would say is that it is our philosophy as a government in St. Charles Parish to bring people back to St. Charles as quickly as it is safe to do so. We do not have the intention to keep residents away from their homes unnecessarily. So that is something that we take very serious. We will not call for an evacuation if it's not necessary. So please heed our warnings and keep informed of what's going on.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. Very good information always about hurricanes.
Thanks, Renee.
Catch the entire episode right here on Channel 6, daily at 5 p.m. or watch anytime at scptoday.com.